Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack here. Wednesday now, the 13th of August, 2024. Going to be talking about Ernesto, how strong it could get, what impacts it could bring. It's already doing so down in the Northeast Caribbean. Just what to expect from it over the next several days. We'll take a look at that, and then we're going to end today's update with a couple of just side items that I think are kind of interesting. Something to look at as we go beyond today. All right, let's get started. Thanks for joining me. Here we go. Let's see the tracking map, the interactive tracking map off the HurricaneTrack Insider site. What a cool tool. I love this. I've always wanted something like it, and a few years ago, my wish was granted. Thank you, Mr. Woodgate. So here it is, Ernesto, a little bit stronger now. Winds are up to 50 miles per hour. It's gradually getting better organized as it heads through the Northeast Caribbean here. We can zoom in and you can see that. And the tropical storm symbol swirling down here. And it's going to move up towards the U.S. and British Virgin Islands with its center. But we all know it's not a little swirly icon on a map. It's a large weather system with rain bands and squalls and thunderstorms and gusty winds. And all of that is going to move through the Northeast Caribbean, affecting the islands through here, including Puerto Rico. And then our system will move into the Southwest Atlantic, where it is expected to become a hurricane, and it should do so in just a couple of days, and probably quickly strengthen thereafter over the very warm waters of the Southwest Atlantic. And then it could get very close to Bermuda, maybe goes over Bermuda, 50 miles either way, 100 miles either way, we don't know yet. Let's zoom in so you can see where Bermuda is located. Technically speaking, the center line of the forecast track right here, that's right down the middle, would be to the west of Bermuda by just a little bit. We need that to be way over here or way over here to give our friends there a little bit of breathing room. We'll see. We'll work on that over the coming days. It is forecast to be a Category 2 as it goes by. I, however, am skeptical of that. I believe that it'll be stronger just based on past experiences with hurricanes passing through this area, the overall background environment, and it all has to do with how quickly Ernesto can get vertically stacked. It's got to get the low level. You know how I show you that 850 millibar vorticity, the skeleton of it, so to speak. I show you that often. That needs to get aligned at the bottom, at the lower part of the atmosphere, with the mid-levels, and then the upper levels. Everything has to be aligned. To think about a tin can in 3 dimensions, like a cylinder. It has to be vertical. It can't be tilted and stretched like a slinky. That's a good idea. I need to go to Walmart and get a slinky. Not right now, but for future, I need to have it sitting right here or on the shelf behind me. I'm absolutely serious, and don't steal that idea from me. It's a great idea to show you about vertical alignment of tropical cyclones. The slinky would be a great example because you can shift it and move it around. The point is, my excitement about a slinky notwithstanding, once this does get vertically stacked, the water temperatures are very warm, the moisture should be adequate in the atmosphere, not much dry air to worry about, and I think it'll be a Category 3 at some point and probably going to have a large eye, and I'll show you why. Ernesto is a large system to speak of already, and that being said, remember, we'll use this dark blue color here. Once it gets into the Southwest Atlantic, it's going to start sending out those waves and swells towards the coast. And we're going to need to talk about that more and more in the coming days because the weekend is coming. And that means people are going to head down to these beaches around here. And they are going to have to deal with those swells and the possibility of rip currents as this system comes through. And the stronger it gets, the more that can be a problem. So yes, intensity here does matter, even if it is a, quote, fish storm, whatever that means. I've seen only a few fish on the top of the ocean, and those were flying next to a cruise ship that I was on. Story for another day. Other than that, all the fish are in the ocean, so whatever. Look at it. It's a large circulation. Ernesto's big, and once it packs everything in there and gets itself aligned, it'll go. It really will. And it's going to be doing so as it moves through the Northeast Caribbean here. So you folks in the U.S. British Virgin Islands, Vieques there near Puerto Rico, get ready. It's going to be a rough evening Probably already lost power down there. It's fragile, some of the power systems down there. If it hasn't gone out yet, it will soon, more than likely, especially for our friends in the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. I hear from them all the time about the woes that they have dealing with electricity. Our trough that's going to help to lure Ernesto up and out, and hopefully it will end up just like that. There's Bermuda, so they would be quite comfortable. Yeah, Atlantic Canada, comfortable enough, I guess, if my very quick drawing of the track works out. But the trough that's going to get it is right through here. You can clearly see that. That has eroded the big subtropical ridge that's sitting out here. If this was not here and everything was connected, Ernesto would be just going through like this, and it would end up more than likely in the Gulf of Mexico. But that's not the case. We do have this trough digging in that erodes that ridge, and it just allows our would-be hurricane to gain latitude. And that's what it's all about in terms of not directly impacting the lower 48. Zooming in on Ernesto this afternoon, it is starting to develop a central dense overcast, or what we call CDO, right in here. It's trying to compact everything, focus that energy, bundle the energy, get vertically stacked, trying to mix all my words up, get itself aligned vertically, and once it does, it should be off to the races. The outflow fairly well established. You can see that. This is a little curious, probably an indication of some dry air. These arc clouds that you see coming out. First of all, I would love to be on a yacht, who wouldn't, right there, just looking at that to the southwest of said yacht. Oh man, I bet that's absolutely incredible. That would be a heck of an Instagram picture, wouldn't it? Nature at its finest. That's a big old outflow boundary. That, ladies and gentlemen, is air going down and out. It is like a downburst or a downdraft, and that is not a healthy sign for a tropical cyclone. You need the air coming together, converging, and then going up. That is air that is diverging at the surface, and it's spreading out, and you get those arc clouds that come out like an outflow boundary, and that's probably due to some dry air from getting embedded and entrained into that feeder band there on the northeast side of our tropical storm. So just an interesting structural little analysis there. But yeah, once this does get stacked, you need to be watching this closely and be ready for it all through this region in here. Got several friends of the project down there, many of whom I have met in person. Everybody be ready. You know how these go when they are intensifying. Probably get some lightning tonight. That should be pretty spectacular to see as it comes through. And by the way, we do have a couple of cams down here. Let's go over back to our interactive map, and we can turn those on. And this is what our patrons that support us financially have access to, by the way. That's part of, hey, one of our supporters designed it. But this is what we've got. This is down in the Virgin Islands. This is over in St. John. Nice right now, but by tonight it'll be quite a bit more windy, and I won't see much, unfortunately. But Brent, who lives down in St. John, he'll take some video for us. And then we have our good friend Tim, and he's got a camera. This is facing north at St. Thomas. We used to have another camera that was down at the docks, but at the warehouse area, but that's gone because the whole area is gone. They moved it or whatever. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on these cams. The one in Puerto Rico, I got to get in touch with Carlos down here because this one is offline. Got to see what's up with that. But we'll be watching this as it goes through. You guys down there, you need to be ready for it, all right? So in the future, down the road a piece, what is likely going to happen with Ernesto track-wise and intensity-wise? Well, it's pretty cool because you can see just looking at the spaghetti plot here, this sort of curvy shape to it. It's not just a clean curve like that. Why? Well, you have your first trough that's going to come in and induce this part of the curve, and then the ridge tries to build back in, so it sends it back west a little bit, and then more troughing comes in, and that finishes the job off. You can clearly see that in the track. That's really neat. At least I think so. Buried in here somewhere is Bermuda, and we'll certainly be watching closely to see how close, speaking of closely, Ernesto gets to Bermuda. Have a few friends there as well. And I might add, might as well throw this in, we got to make a decision. The team and I, are we going to go? I have myself and one other colleague from Orlando. He's thinking about going. Bermuda's expensive, first of all, very costly, and it's a small set of islands. Bermuda is not just one island, in case you didn't know that. So we have to take this decision very seriously. Oh, let's just go to Bermuda and see what happens. We have funding, but we don't have that much funding to just throw it away if Ernesto were to be 100 miles either side of Bermuda. Great for Bermuda, not great for our budget and future project work. So we're going to be monitoring closely, and we'll know something, well, just like you guys will be watching. We'll be watching just as close, and we'll hope to make a final decision, certainly no later than Thursday morning, because we got to get plane tickets booked and an Airbnb or whatever. We'll figure it all out. But yeah, we are considering Bermuda for a field mission out on an island or a series of islands. So stay tuned. Intensity-wise, it's kind of interesting. Most of the guidance is suggesting, let's see, I guess we can highlight it in this green color, a pretty quick ramp up into hurricane intensity, probably at Category 2. One of the models getting up here to Category 3. I think it will be a 3. Yeah, probably peaking, I'm just going to go write it down, 120 miles per hour. That's my guess. So book it. Vegas odds, baby. 120 miles per hour, that's what I think this will peak at. And though, hedge my bets a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if it's stronger, because we have seen that before in this part of the Atlantic Basin. When these things stack up and they get going, something about that region of the subtropics, they tend to really ramp up, which won't matter unless it passes Bermuda close enough, but it'll also matter because it could generate bigger swells. So we'll keep an eye on that. I think the ceiling here, solid Category 3. And part of my reasoning would be these very warm sea surface temperatures that reside across the region. They are warm in reality. They are warm anomalously so, or against the background norm. So they are certainly warmer than the 30-year average or whatever it is. And I think that could help. The atmosphere should be conducive as well. This is that 850 millibar part of the GFS I've been telling you about. This is the 12Z run today. Sounds like a truck driving by the office. That's fun. As long as he doesn't drive into the office, we're good. So watch as the, you know what, let me change the extent. Let's just zoom in on it here to the West Atlantic. There we go. Let's get it back down. Perfect. So here's where we are initially. It's kind of ragged. Notice over the next few frames it does stack up, and that starts to look like a hurricane, doesn't it? I've done this long enough to know, oh, wow, look at that. That looks like a hurricane. It looks like even an eye in the middle there. And then it gets pretty far west as well. Tries to hook back towards Bermuda. Let's mark Bermuda just so we know. There's Bermuda right there. Then a miracle ensues, and it passes Bermuda comfortably to the west. I would be comfortable with that if I lived there. That's a good sign. And then off it goes closer up to the Canadian Maritimes. So let's look at this. It's in the islands here. This is 12 hours out, so this is about 8 p.m. this evening. So let's switch it up to the 200 millibar level and see how it looks upstairs, so to speak. I won't say perfect, but boy, all that outflow you see there, yeah, we don't have any of this shenanigans going across the top of it. So it's got a very favorable upper environment. So again, if it can not look like this where it's tilted, low level down here, mid and upper levels here, and instead it's perfectly aligned kind of like that. I got to get that slinky, then we're in business. This upper level pattern tells me that this could really go. And that follows with it. You even have some suggestion of a northeastern outflow jet, maybe even a southeastern outflow jet as well. So plenty of methods to get the air that's coming in here out at the top, away from the system, the whole engine humming along. I don't see why this won't become a Category 3 as it passes, hopefully, far west of Bermuda. That would be great. Now we can go back to the full North Atlantic shot. Let's go back to the lower part of the atmosphere so we can see it better. Formidable hurricane in the model. Gets really close to the Canadian Maritimes up there, Atlantic Canada, Newfoundland, and Nova Scotia. We'll see about that. That's still a week away, roughly. And we're going to have to watch, obviously. So Bermuda is first after today in the Caribbean. And then again, once it's about right here, and beyond, I'm telling you folks, the waves that are going to get sent out will be something else. So the surfers will love it. As I mentioned yesterday, other beachgoers, you're going to have to be really, really careful. I already talked about all this stuff, so let's move on. These are the two sort of odds and ends things that I wanted to show you as we wrap things up. You know, we got Ernesto, but it is curious. I thought I'd bring this up. 4 years ago, we were already up to our 11th name storm, if memory serves, Gonzalo or something like that, and we're way behind this year. And I say that because we were supposed to have a hyperactive hurricane season. Certainly what I'm saying here doesn't indicate that I don't think we still will. Look at 2004. That season didn't even get started until the first part of August, basically, with Alex. And we still ended up with a hyperactive season in terms of impacts and ACE score and all that stuff. So believe me, we're not starting to, well, it doesn't look like it's going to be as busy a season. But it is curious, as Eric Webb is pointing out here, where are the hurricanes? We have Ernesto, but we figured there would be more, maybe multiple systems out there. So what is causing it? What is the mechanics behind the lack of activity beyond Ernesto? Well, basically, it's a favorable background state, but the main reason seems to be the displacement of the intertropical convergent zone and or the overall path of the African easterly jet. Not directly related to the intertropical convergent zone, but nevertheless, the waves are basically coming off too far north. That's the bottom line. So that energy, these tropical waves that are coming off Africa, you know, between 15 and 20 degrees north latitude, too far north. So they get that Saharan air mixed in with them. They're dry to begin with. They kind of stay large. Takes longer for them to develop. That should change naturally, and this is why I believe August 20th is such an important time frame. Every year, the African easterly jet, the whole ITCZ, kind of moves north and then it goes back south again. It's just part of the way the seasons go. And the way the Atlantic is configured and other things, you get different interactions with it. August 20th, we start to begin the drifting back south gradually of that feature that spits out these tropical waves. Think of it as a conveyor belt. That's going to commence here in the next couple of weeks. Then you'll spit these tropical waves out in a more favorable zone right into this area that is extremely favorable that we've been talking about. So instead of struggling, they should get going much quicker. That being said, we are up to our 5th named storm, and it is a shoe-in to be a hurricane. Our ACE count is really high relative to average, and it's only August the 13th. We're still a week out from that rapid ramp up in climatological activity. So we might be well behind 2020 as a benchmark for now, but that could change in just the next few weeks. I just thought that was interesting. I'm not the only one that's been wondering about this, and at least Eric here provides some insight. So thank you, Mr. Webb. Also, this is off Dr. Michael Ventress' website, and this is really interesting. Hofmuller diagram. What is it showing? What on earth is all of that, you might ask? This, my friends, is an easterly trade surge that's coming. This is your zonal flow down in the tropics. All of this tells me strong easterly winds are coming right across the INSO regions, and this is at the end of August. This really gets cranking, so that La Nina could get a jump start and a boost. Meanwhile, general light flow, a little bit of a trade surge there indicated perhaps. The Atlantic Basin, this represents geographically where the Atlantic Basin is. This is the Pacific through the INSO regions, especially in here. And boy, oh boy, we're going to get a trade surge that should really, let's go back to, where's our map? This guy, really get those trades cranking from east to west through here. And then this should get energized even more as we get into September. The La Nina finally looks like it's going to kick in. All right, it is the 20th anniversary. Try again, Mark. It's the 20th anniversary. Sometimes you have to just slow down. It's hard when you have so much to say and so much enthusiasm to say it. It is the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Charley and its impact on Southwest Florida and its impact on our project. What we have here today, That case back there exists because of Charley. It was one of those moments where we saw the light and realized we have to have a better way to tackle these intense hurricanes, especially at the point of landfall, without putting ourselves in harm's way. It gave birth to the Hurricane Landfall Project, that harrowing day way back 20 years ago, this very afternoon, almost as we speak. We were heading south, getting into position for that eye wall right there. So I did a video, a little recap, if you will, a look back, a retrospective, and I put that on YouTube earlier today. Just making mention of it here. I'll put a link to that in today's description. Then, this afternoon, we're going to have 3 videos for you today, folks. We got this one, the Charley retrospective, and then I'm going to make public the latest Hurricane U episode, where I had a conversation with QuickDam and Marilyn Sheldon, the retail account executive, talking flood mitigation and how our partner at QuickDam can help you. So look for that going public this afternoon. All right. Don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Please. We like it. We like to see the numbers go up. Not for egos. I mean, it's great and all, but just because it's cool that you guys watch this stuff and you appreciate what we do, and you can show that appreciation by subscribing and doing the notification thing so that when we publish a new video, you get a push notification just like that right there. See, it's a YouTube. You get that. You do. It tells you. HurricaneTrack just published something. Be in the know and do so by subscribing and doing the notifications, right? Right. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get this online for you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll see you again tomorrow.